If you have anything to do with Caylee's disappearance, then the polygraph's going to show that.
On January 4, 2024, amidst Casey Anthony's recent allegations against her father, George, and mother, Cindy, they agreed to undergo polygraph examinations on camera in a new special titled Casey Anthony's Parents, the Lie Detector Test on A&E and Lifetime. The documentary reveals their real-time reactions to the polygraph questions, showcasing each spouse's response to the other's answers and the results of the lie detector tests, as they confront lingering questions about George's potential involvement in Caylee's death. This televised event reopens old wounds surrounding the tragic story of Casey Anthony and her daughter Caylee, whose disappearance in July 2008 sparked a nationwide fascination. The ensuing investigation into Casey, then 22 years old, included scrutinizing her cell phone, computer, and vehicle, uncovering incriminating evidence such as internet searches for chloroform and neck breaking, as well as detecting traces of chloroform and human decomposition in her car's trunk. Consequently, Casey was charged with first-degree murder in October 2008. 2 months later, Caylee's skeletal remains were discovered in a wooded area located less than a third of a mile from the Anthony family residence in Florida. Just a quick backstory. Casey lived with her parents, George and Cindy Anthony, and daughter Caylee in Orlando. Casey had left home a month earlier, citing a work assignment in Tampa. Throughout her absence, the grandparents repeatedly requested to speak to Caylee, but Casey always made excuses, including claims of being with the nanny. On July 15th, George received a call informing him that the car Casey had been using for work was impounded. A strong odor emanating from the trunk caught his attention. He recognized a smell from his years as a police officer as that of decomposition. Her parents eventually located Casey at her boyfriend's house in Orlando, where they found her smoking marijuana and watching TV. When asked about the baby, she reiterated the nanny's story, prompting Cindy to call 911.
911, what's your emergency? I called a little bit ago, the deputy sheriff. I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. We're talking about a 3-year-old little girl. My daughter finally admitted that the baby's in the store. I need to find her.
Your daughter admitted that the baby is where?
But the babysitter took her a month ago. My daughter's been looking for her. I told you my daughter was missing for a month. I just found her today, but I can't find my granddaughter. And she just admitted to me that she's been trying to find her herself. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name?
Caylee, Caylee, Anthony.
Caylee Anthony?
Yes.
How long has she been missing for?
I have not seen her since the 7th of June.
Is your daughter there?
Yes.
Can I speak with her?
Okay, Sheriff's Department, they want to talk to you. Answer the question. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you tell me what's going on a little bit?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell me a little bit what's going on?
My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
And you know who has her?
I know who has her. I've tried to contact her. I actually received a phone call today, now from a number that is no longer in service. I did get to speak to my daughter for about a minute.
Who has her? Do you have a name?
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez.
The lack of urgency and emotion in this 911 call never gets old for me. Listen to the reason she provides when asked why she waited this long to report her daughter missing.
911, what's your emergency? Who has her? Do you have a name?
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez.
Who is that? Babysitter?
She's been my nanny for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years.
Why are you calling now? Why didn't you call 31 days ago?
I've been looking for her and have gone through other resources to try to find her, which was stupid. I think the officers are here.
The officers are there?
So many things about this case didn't add up. Welcome to True Crime Capital. So where is Casey Anthony now? Her parents, George and Cindy, are still together and they still reside in Florida. For obvious reasons, they maintain resentment towards their daughter for the death of their grandchild. Cindy is still angry a lot of the time. This was a loving grandmother who had to withstand family trauma that no one should ever have to deal with. So when she starts talking about Casey and Caylee, she still gets really upset, even now. At first, Cindy wanted answers. She wanted to know what had happened, why this had happened. She wanted Caylee to explain the hell she put everyone through. Now she realizes that there's no point asking Caylee anything, because she is never going to get any straight answers. So what's the point? Cindy isn't sure what to believe when it comes to her daughter's involvement in Caylee's death. George, on the other hand, is steadfast that she did something wrong. But with Cindy, it's a big question mark. Mostly, she's just sad about the way things turned out. Though Caylee and her parents have opposing narratives of what happened to 2-year-old Caylee, one thing is for certain. The Anthony family has been irreparably broken by the tragic event and its fallout. July 16, 2008. Caylee was first arrested, one day after her mother reported Caylee missing to the police. She was charged with child neglect, giving false statements and obstruction. The charges resulted after Caylee claimed to police she had left Caylee at the apartment of her babysitter, Zanny, and that she worked at Universal Studios. Both statements that turned out to be false.
The date right now is July 16, 2008. The time right now is 04:11 hours. I'm Detective Mellish with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. I am with Caylee Anthony, is that correct?
Yes.
Caylee, you understand this is being recorded?
Yes.
You have any objection to that?
No.
All right. Caylee, I got called here in reference to a missing child. You took Caylee to a babysitter's house?
Yes.
And who was this babysitter?
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez.
Okay. How long had you known Zenaida?
Almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years Christmas this year.
And where did you meet her? Who did you meet her through?
A mutual friend. His name is Jeffrey Michael Hopkins. I met him at Nickelodeon at Universal, and I met her through him. She was his son's nanny at the time.
Does Jeffrey still work at Universal?
No, he does not.
How long has it been since he left?
About 9-10 months, give or take. He moved up to North Carolina for a short time and moved down to Jacksonville within the last 3 months.
How would you characterize your relationship with Miss Anthony?
More or less acquaintances.
Weren't very good friends?
Not very good friends.
Did you ever work at Universal Studios?
I did.
When did you work at Universal Studios?
Approximately 2002.
How long did you work there for?
1 year.
Did you ever work there at the same time that Caylee Anthony worked there?
I don't think so.
You don't recall ever seeing her there?
Never.
Did you ever introduce Caylee Anthony to a woman by the name of Zenaida Gonzalez?
I did not.
Did you ever use Zenaida Gonzalez as a nanny?
No, sir.
Do you have any children?
No, sir.
Have you lived in the Orlando area consistently since 2002?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever lived in Jacksonville?
No, sir.
Have you ever lived in North Carolina?
No, sir.
Did you see Caylee Anthony in the month of June of 2008?
No, sir.
When was the last time you spoke with him?
About a week and a half ago.
Do you know a telephone number for him?
I can find a number for him. I don't know a number offhand. No,
July 22, 2008. Later that month, police named Caylee as a person of interest in the investigation surrounding her daughter's disappearance. October 14, 2008. A Florida grand jury indicted Caylee on first-degree murder charges in connection with Caylee's death, though her body had yet to be found. Charges that carried a potential death sentence. December 11, 2008. Over 5 months after Caylee was reported missing, her remains were uncovered by Orange County meter reader Roy Kronk in a wooded area less than a mile away from the Anthony's home in Florida.
Gerardo Bloise was called out to this very spot to confirm whether a small skull found in the woods might belong to 2-year-old Caylee Anthony.
Kronk later testified during Caylee's murder trial and said he had seen a white object in the same location that he was 99.99% sure was a human skull in August 2008, 4 months before Caylee's remains were found. After calling the police the next day and meeting the deputy at the scene, Kronk testified, "The officer looked one way and then the other. Then he berated me for a half hour for wasting his time." When Kronk was in the same area in December 2008, he stumbled on Caylee's remains, recalling on the stand, "I did not know what it was. I never lifted it off the ground. That was a very horrific thing for me to find, obviously." May the 24th, 2011. Caylee's murder trial began in Orlando, Florida, and lasted over 6 weeks. The defense, led by Jose Baez, claimed that Caylee accidentally drowned in the family's pool, and George helped Casey cover up the accidental death by burying the toddler in their backyard. Baez and Casey also made several bombshell allegations, including that Casey was sexually abused and molested by her father George since she was a child. Claims George vehemently denied on the stand. The prosecution, meanwhile, focused on Casey's various lies to both her parents and police, as well as mounting circumstantial evidence, including incriminating Google searches for terms like how to make chloroform on the family's computer. No one makes an accident look like murder, Jeff Ashton, then the state attorney for Orange and Osceola counties in Florida, said to the jury.
On Monday, June 16th, Cindy Anthony goes to work, as I've described, sometime between 7 and 8 a.m., and is out of the house until the late evening. George Anthony specifically recalls that at 12:50 p.m. on June 16th of 2008, his daughter Casey left the residence on Hope Spring Drive with Caylee Marie Anthony. Caylee was wearing a pink shirt, jean shorts, sunglasses, and a backpack. And Jojo, George Anthony, kissed his granddaughter goodbye and never saw her again. In fact, no one but Casey Anthony ever saw Caylee Marie Anthony alive again.
Prosecutors argued that Casey Anthony suffocated her daughter with chloroform and taped the 2-year-old's mouth shut, July 5, 2011. After deliberating for 11 hours, the 12-person jury found Casey not guilty on all serious charges, including first-degree murder, manslaughter, and aggravated child abuse. She was convicted, however, on 4 counts of lying to the police. The case remains unsolved to this day. July 7, 2011. 2 days after the judge delivered the verdict, Casey was sentenced to 4 years in prison and a $4,000 fine. July 17, 2011. Since Anthony had already served approximately 3 years in prison and exhibited good behavior, she only owed 10 more days in prison at the time of her sentencing. So just 10 days after her sentencing, Casey was released from Florida's Orange County Jail. She was greeted by hundreds of protesters who were outraged over her acquittal waiting outside. In 2016, she launched her own photography business, Case Photography, but had done very few projects. Casey, now 37, lives a small life in South Florida. She has few close friends. She has the people she trusts. She works as an assistant to defense investigator Patrick McKenna, who led her case in court, and mostly makes her living in accounting work. I felt by the end of the project that I had witnessed somebody revisit and process some pretty awful memories and trauma, Dean said. I thought that where she got into was a place of greater understanding of what she thought had happened, but I think the process caused her a lot of agony. She's got enough money to live, but not enough to really do anything, a source said. She sort of lives like an old person, on a fixed income without much going on in her life. She's bored, and she complains about boredom all the time. She rarely goes out. Her attempts to launch businesses have failed. She is completely estranged from her parents. People are always starting bees with her, said Ethan Bowen, a bartender who has served Anthony several times. They'll approach her to say something, or she'll look up to see someone taking a picture of her with her phone. No one gives her any peace. Casey does not have any children. She told the Associated Press in 2017, "If I'd be dumb enough to bring another kid into this world, knowing that there'd be a potential that some little snot-nosed kid would then say something mean to my kid, I don't think I could live with that." March 2017. The following year, Casey broke her silence for the first time since her acquittal with a series of interviews given to the Associated Press. She continued to assert that she did not know what happened to Caylee in the final moments of her life. "I don't give a about what anyone thinks about me, I never will," Casey told the outlet. "I'm okay with myself. I sleep pretty good at night." She added, "I understand the reasons people feel about me. I understand why people have the opinions that they do. I'm still not even certain as I stand here today about what happened.
Caylee would be 12 this year.
What would she be like right now?
A total badass. I would like to think she'd be listening to classic rock and playing sports and not taking from anybody. I'm still not even certain as I stand here today about what happened.
October 2019. Caylee was no longer speaking to either of her parents and had limited contact with her brother Lee. At the time, George revealed in an appearance on Dr. Oz that his relationship with his daughter was irreparably broken. "We're not connected anymore," he said on the show, "and that hurts. I wish I could be part of her life, but I would never feel comfortable around her. I can't trust her." However, in 2019, George appeared to soften his stance towards Caylee. In another appearance on Dr. Oz in October 2019, he revealed he was ready to forgive his daughter. In December 2020, she filed paperwork to start her own private investigation business called Case Research and Consulting Services, LLC. However, state records revealed that she does not have a Florida private investigator's license, and as a convicted felon, she will not be able to obtain one. That wasn't deterring Caylee. Though the company was in the very early stages, Caylee had big plans to help other people facing serious legal charges. In May 2021, Caylee called 911 in an incident involving a love triangle that turned into a verbal fight that ended with Anthony repeatedly getting splashed in the face with drinks. Anthony told police she got into an argument at O'Shea's Irish pub in West Palm Beach with a woman about an ex-boyfriend both were dating at the same time. Anthony told police the argument got heated, saying that Moya eventually spilled water on her left leg. No formal reports were filed. November 2022. Caylee Peacock docuseries Caylee Anthony. Where the Truth Lies, Caylee provided a detailed account of what she alleges happened when Caylee died. In her first on-camera interviews, Caylee placed the blame solely on her father, George. Caylee claimed that she hadn't been feeling well on June 16, 2008. The last day Caylee was seen alive, and went to lie down with Caylee. The next thing she remembered was being woken up by her father, who was asking her where Caylee was. The two went looking for the toddler, and it was George who found her, according to Caylee's account. He was standing there with her, she said in the docuseries. She was soaking wet. He handed her to me, said it was my fault, that I caused it. But he didn't rush to call 911, and he wasn't trying to resuscitate her. I collapsed with her in my arms. She was heavy, and she was cold. Caylee added, "He takes her from me, and he immediately softens his tone and says, 'It's going to be okay.' I wanted to believe him. He took her from me, and he went away." According to Caylee's 2022 account, she believed Caylee was alive over the next 31 days, and was following her father's instructions to behave as normally as possible. After this incident, Caylee left home and spent the next month with her boyfriend, Tony. And in the following weeks, Caylee went partying most nights. Just 3 days after her daughter's supposed abduction, she was captured in various photos participating in a hot body contest. 12 days later, she got a tattoo saying, "Bella Vita," an Italian motto that translates beautiful life. She also made a diary entry that read, "I completely trust my own judgment, and I know that I made the right decision. This is the happiest I have been in a long time. I hope that my happiness will continue to grow," apparently failing to report any crime involving her daughter. She also speculated in the interview that George may have staged Caylee's drowning in order to cover up that he had been abusing his granddaughter, but admitted that she didn't know for sure. George, who denied Caylee's claims of abuse in court and was never charged, was outraged and appalled at his daughter's latest allegations. The only wrongdoing Caylee admitted to in the documentary was being dishonest to investigators. Caylee accused her father of repeatedly molesting her as a child in the 2022 documentary and at her trial. "It all comes back to my dad," she told Peacock. "I know what he did to me, and that was my fear. I had one job, to keep her safe," she said of her daughter. "I failed her again and again and again because I still protected the person who hurt me," she said. "My lies always have a kernel of truth in them. But I lied because that's what I was told to do." What is frustrating me about this case is the medical examiner listed Caylee's cause of death as homicide by undetermined means. Therefore, there was no confirmation or non-confirmation of the drowning or sexual allegations, and believe the autopsy should have provided the same clarification. November 2022. Casey's claims about George in the 2022 docuseries left him outraged and appalled. George is keeping a pretty strong exterior, but this tears him up, the source said. He still loves his daughter and he loved his granddaughter, so this is beyond difficult for him. In 2022, Caylee still does not speak to her father, and she does have limited contact with her mother Cindy and brother Lee. Caylee does talk to her mom and her brother. She doesn't talk to them often, and their relationship is not close, but they do communicate. January 4th, 2024. Over a year after Caylee's bombshell allegations in the Peacock docuseries, her parents, George and Cindy, put their answers regarding their granddaughter's disappearance and death to the test.
Did you knowingly conceal Caylee's whereabouts?
No.
The two grandparents have come forward as a result of Caylee's claims that she was sexually abused by her father, and that he was involved in concealing Caylee's whereabouts after her death. Caylee doubled down on her claims of sexual assault against George in a 2022 docuseries, Lie Anthony, Where the Truth Lies, and also accused George of staging the crime scene to point to Caylee and her daughter's death. The couple participated in the A&E series Lie Anthony's Parents, the Lie Detector Test, which premiered on January 4, 2024, where they took polygraph tests on camera. In one clip, Cindy said she believes her daughter 100% knows what happened to Caylee. Yes, I believe 100%. And I kept hoping upon hope that she would confess, Cindy revealed in the special. And that's the only reason I put myself through all of her drama and everything. The show tapped a retired FBI agent to pose a series of sensitive questions about the mystifying case. Did you ever have sexual contact with Caylee? George is asked at one point. Did you knowingly conceal Caylee's whereabouts? He's quizzed later. George Anthony, who is now 72, and Cindy Anthony, 65, passed the polygraph tests as part of A&E's new TV special, Lie Anthony's Parents, the Lie Detector Test, in which they were asked several questions relating to their granddaughter Caylee Anthony's murder, and their daughter Caylee Anthony's accusations of molestation that she has made against her father. But the tests, however successful, also spurred some intense emotions from both parents. My opinion of them taking the examination was to clear their name, not only as suspects despite the closed investigations, but to validate the narratives they have been telling throughout the years, Lisa Ribicoff, a New York-based private investigator and polygraph expert, said. Allegations were made by Caylee, and they wanted to use the polygraph as an investigative tool to assist in providing credibility to their narratives. Polygraph exams measure a person's heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, and more, so having cameras in the same room where the parents were did not make the process easy, Ribicoff noted. Stumbling happens a lot, she said. It is an emotional topic and a rough issue to discuss. I encounter examinees like this all the time. It is a normal reaction. It is up to the examiner to discuss things with them thoroughly to ensure they are understanding of the questions as well. Ribicoff also noted that the special was edited, and trailers were released to appear to make George look guilty, which could be why viewers were so highly tuned in. At one point in the special, George accuses his wife of being controlling when she asks the production crew to move the couch they are sitting on. Cindy becomes emotional and hints at the gravity of the polygraph tests, saying George could end up in jail if he blows all this. In another scene, Cindy has a panic attack while discussing Caylee's murder and accusations against Caylee. Since June 16, 2008, Caylee has been my #1 priority, as far as what happened to her and getting her back, Cindy says in the special. I lost Caylee and my granddaughter that day, but Caylee was the priority. Caylee has always been my priority. My goal this whole time has been to find out the truth, and to sit here and listen to Caylee keep making different stories as it fits is a continuous torture to my spirit. As I got ready to prepare for this video, I wondered why a daughter would keep lying and making life hard for her parents, especially after everything they've been through with Caylee's passing. Will she ever stop torturing them and keep shifting the blame for Caylee's death toward her father forever? Then I realized something. Even though her parents tried their best to raise her and her brother, they kind of contributed to her becoming a pathological liar and self-centered person. They let her get away with things other kids wouldn't because she was good at lying. You see, during her upbringing, there were numerous occasions where she got away with behaviors that most children would not, simply due to the fact that she was able to continuously lie without facing serious consequences. For example, when she was 18, she stopped attending classes midway through her senior year. She skipped the entire half of her final year to go hang out with her older boyfriend. Her parents suspected something was up but didn't do anything about it. Then, right before graduation, her parents became suspicious on several occasions, but failed to discipline her. Then, just days before graduation, her parents were informed by the school that she will not be graduating. Casey's excuse was that her timetable was mixed up by the school, causing her to miss classes. Instead of punishing her, her parents covered for her and lied to everyone, saying she graduated with honors and threw her an extravagant and lavish graduation party. This is just one of many occurrences that Caylee faced no ramifications for her actions, and her parents not putting their foot down, instead helping her with her lies. So, will she ever stop torturing them? It doesn't seem likely. We hope you have found insight in watching the update on Caylee Anthony's case. What is the most shocking aspect of this case to you? Leave your comments down below. Don't forget to support the channel by subscribing and liking this video. Let's meet again next week. As always, thank you for watching TCC. Stay safe out there.